Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Thursday, January 26th, and looking at the market. Well, first things first, this video is going to be roughly short because I'm not feeling that well. Allergies are killing me tonight, so I'm going to try to make it short and sweet, but definitely to the point. So the market continues this upward channel, and it continues. The top of the channel is definitely a sell. The bottom of the channel is definitely a buy. This 1307 to 1310 range, that's definitely your line in the sand for the bulls. Picture this. If we get some type of consolidation tomorrow, that's fine. But Monday, Tuesday, we're going to have to keep on this upward slope, and we need to retest the highs. And eventually, one of these highs aren't going to make it to the top of the channel again, and we're going to make either some type of double top and roll over, or we're just going to make a lower high and roll over. So just be aware that eventually it will happen, and that will be our sign of some type of pullback or some type of true consolidation. For now, today was a big day for stocks in terms of pulling back. We got 1325. That's the number I've been talking about. We got up to 29.75 and sold off nearly 20 points. Actually, I think it was 20 points. We got as low as as low as 1309.25. So yeah, 20 points to the downside, which was actually a decent buy at the bottom because it was off the point of control. So pretty good bounce, but nevertheless, we did get a pretty significant sell-off. We are still in this channel, but expect, if we do start to break down, some selling pressure to come into this market, but at the same time, look for buyers to be lurking at lower levels, because that's exactly what they want to do. NASDAQ, strong, looks good, kind of looks like the S&P. This is starting to trade sideways now, and it's just something to be aware of, sort of like we traded sideways earlier in the week and last week, and eventually we broke out. So it's not as steep of a trend, but it's still trending higher. Just be aware that we could see some type of pullback in the market. So Apple, this still, despite the fact that Apple is it knocked the ball off the cover. I said that last night too, and I said it wrong. The cover off the ball. It's there's some profit taking up in this range, and that's fine. But be aware, and I'm going to bring in so you can see the weekly composite. The weekly composite is, we have 447. That's a big level. If we start dropping below these recent lows, we could retrace most of this move and trade back down towards 430. So just realize that. I don't think you have to rush in and buy Apple at 444 if you're trying to get involved. You may get an opportunity on weakness, but I think you should really, if this thing gets down to 420s at all, you should be all over it and looking to really get longer in Apple. Amazon, this was a name. I put a call spread on 190 by 195 that expires this week, and I took it off today around, it was above 94 when I took it off, and the reason why was because the gains were actually pretty satisfying. The 195 call that I was short, I took a loss on it, I think like $1 loss. It wasn't anything too significant, but the gains I had like a $3 gain, or close, maybe more, maybe less. I don't really remember. But on the 190 call, I paid $1 for the spread, and I ended up selling it for $2.50 profit. So that's pretty good, and very satisfied with how the trade turned out. But I think that Amazon is something that you can look for more price appreciation, but give this time work out, and there will be opportunity. EMC, I hope you're long this name. We were talking about this down at 22, looking for a breakout. Got our breakout. Stay long, stay strong. EMC is at our $25, $26 target. Realize that, but also realize that let me get the daily chart. There's not much holding this from going to 27. And I think that's the big thing. 27 looks like a magnet, and that's something to be aware of. So EMC still looks good. Freeport, I took some profits on Freeport. I didn't cover it last night, but hopefully you've been long. We've been covering Freeport back. I'm trying to think of when we actually got. I'm pretty sure this is when we first started getting involved in Freeport. In this range right here, we rode it up. Got shaken out a bit right here. I actually shorted it thinking it was going to break down on these days. Quickly reversed that. I remember for a small profit, and started to scale back into my long, and have enjoyed a decent move to the upside. And it's prudent to take some profits here because the S&P is at the top of its range. Alpha Natural Resource, don't take this off your radar. Realize that nothing's wrong with it. Support is down towards 20. We're about 2% from those levels. So Alpha Natural Resource is still on our radar. Walter, I completely flattened out this trade today. It was a nice run, and there could be more upside, but I was satisfied with the gains I had. Over 100% from yesterday, and about 120% today on my options, so you can't really complain. Las Vegas Sands, big reversal today. Opened, rallied higher. I think it got up as much as 2% higher from yesterday's close, and closed lower on the day. That's a reversal. That's just, realize that there was some selling pressure all day in Las Vegas Sands. There could be more downside, but look at it as an opportunity to buy more. American Express didn't really do too much today. Just more of the same consolidation. This is a slower mover, but allow it to work for you. We did have a nice bounce at the end of the day, intraday that is, from the lows of the last hour. Lows were at $49.72, closed at call it $50. So almost a 1% bounce off the point of control for the last 90 days. I think that's important, and I think that bodes well. Give this time to develop, and you should see more upside in American Express, just like the rest of the market. Kind of jumping back towards F5. F5 was a profit-taking day for me today. Point of control for January formed at the top of the range. Now we're dropping below it. I just, took the gains that were given and kind of just moved on. F5, look for it on weakness. Maybe around 110 you get your opportunity, but I don't think there's any need to sit on it now if you're still long. Walgreens, still looking for a breakout. Still in major consolidation. It's been trading sideways for a long time, and it's eventually going to give us a move. You can see this 34 to 32.50 range or so is very developed. Look how much volume has been printed here compared to the bottom and the top of that range. So this is going to give us a move eventually, hopefully to the upside. That's what I'm looking for. I am long this stock. One thing to recognize is the holes are all pointing up now. That's good news. Would like to see this thing be accumulated on any type of weakness around 34, 34.20. That's less than 1% from here. And if it drops back down to 33.50 or so, once again, look for a bounce. That's a deeper pullback, which, eventually this thing's going to move. And it may move to the downside, but given that I still think there's potential for... I truly believe that there's potential for this S&P to rally up towards 1,500 again, which may sound far-fetched, but at the same time, if we get above this 1330 level, 1335 really, our next level are the obvious highs from last year, 1360 to 1370, and from there, we look at what's going to stop us, psychological number of 1400, or are we just going to power up through basically, all-time highs for the S&Ps? Or are we going to have resistance there? My bet is yes, there will be resistance at 1500, but at the same time, it reminds me a little bit of last year in the S&P, and let me bring up the chart. 1 second, bear with me. I'm going to bring up a 3-year chart. Once we cleared, congestion highs, we had a nice powerful run to the upside that ended up going from, just to make it easy, call it 1200, which was this consolidation phase, up to 1373. So almost 200-point advance after we got through consolidation. So here's the top of consolidation, and I'm really looking at 1335 as the number, just because it's the top of the high volume area. So we clear above that, I do believe that it's off to the races, and that's why I think it's up to 1500 for the S&P. Though I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, and that doesn't mean pile in. That's going to take time to develop if that does happen. So just be aware of that. All right, Halliburton, long this name. After hours, it's up trading towards. It's up like 90 cents or something. But stay long, stay strong. Halliburton's going higher. $40. That's what I'm looking for before I start to take some profits. But it does look good. Terra Nitrogen, watch out. Point of control at the top of the range. If we do get some more selling pressure, it could present more downside. I guess short term you could call this like a triple top, but I don't really. I try not to judge moves this close in time because it's not part of the bigger move. However, $200 psychological level could be some type of resistance. CF Industries pulling back from yesterday's nice rally, down almost 4% today. Just something to be aware of. Same with Polaris, definitely pulling back. So really the conclusion is there's a lot of profit taking in this market right now. It doesn't quite show on the S&P. However, the S&P tends to, this is just the way I perceive it, it tends to have steadier moves than stocks, and just stocks that most people trade if they want outperformance. So that's just something to be aware of. The S&P could trade sideways for multiple days while other stocks start to trade lower, and eventually, as enough stocks start to trade lower, the S&P starts to roll over too, and then stocks start to bottom, and the S&P, it grinds around for a while, and then starts to, start to appreciate in price and make significant gains. Maybe not significant, but make gains. So the last name I want to cover is Chesapeake Energy. Very frustrated by this move today, down 6%. But keep an eye on it. If it holds these levels, then it's still okay. We are at the value area low for the last 90 days. I think that matters. And I like the fact that January's point of control is right at these levels. If we get some type of bounce tomorrow, which I'm looking for, you want to look to be a part of this with a stop right around 26 or 21.5. So you're probably going to risk about 2 or 3% for maybe a potential of $4 to $5 of upside. So just be aware of that. But I do think we have put in our bottom on Chesapeake Energy. If we haven't, we'll know pretty soon because it will continue lower and it will test the $21 level. So anyways, I hope this helps. There's really not much to do. Make sure you protect your profits and be aware of the fact that the market did. We're at a very important level in the S&P, 1325, 1330. We rejected from those levels. Even yesterday, we sold off at the end of the day from those levels, and we made a new high today, but then sold off 20 S&P points. So I think that does matter, and I think that does show you that there is some selling pressure at these levels, and still wait for the 1307, 1310 range. Wait for the break of the channel to tell you that, you know, this uptrend is over. Until then, just let it work for you. Set your stops below those channels and you'll be all right. Take care.